on the west end of the building.
Preliminary schedules.
Morning, Ruth. Ready for fair, Ruth?
Oh, I am.
It's gonna get hot, Ruth.
I know, 100 degrees on Saturday. Am I going away if I sit here?
No, go ahead. I want to be out of your way.
I just don't want to knock the camera over.
No, you're not going to.
Slowed by everything going on.
You're going to be fine. Just cozy.
Paying big value on top. Hopefully.
Good morning. We're going to call the open session to order at 9:40. And if you'll all rise, please, and join Supervisor Bossing in the pledge to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, we pray this day for your ever-enduring guidance. Cloak us in wisdom and fortitude, that we may disperse our knowledge and facts intelligently among all humanity of whom we serve. Amen. Okay, we're going to move on then to item B1, announcement of items discussed in the closed session. Mr. Nichols?
Members, we had a closed session. All we got to was the Dyer Mountain litigation. We did not finish our discussion, and we'll reconvene in closed session following the regular agenda.
And we will have a further announcement after that.
And we'll follow up on potential litigation at that time and have an announcement after that.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to item B2, agenda approval, additions and/or deletions. Board members, any additions? Staff, any change to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, Gary Speech from North Valley EMS will be here for the EMS letter issue.
Good.
He said he would be here by 10 o'clock, so I don't think it'll be a problem to get item after your rest.
Very good, we'll make sure we do that. Any other changes? Well, that wasn't even a change to the agenda. If there are no changes to the agenda, Chair to entertain a motion. Move to approve the agenda as published by Supervisor Alba, seconded by Supervisor Pyle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Is there any opposition? Is that aye? Moving on to item B3, public comment. This item is placed on the agenda for those in the audience to address the Board of Supervisors on items which do not necessarily appear on our agenda. We would appreciate it, though, if these items were under the jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors. Obviously, we cannot take action on any of the items brought to us under public comment. However, we do have the ability to agendize that for some future meeting if it's determined that would be desirable. We do have a time limit of 3 minutes on any presentation and no more than 3 presenters on any single item. I'm going to go ahead and start with those who have filled out the form to request to speak to the board. And I have first one from Eileen Spencer. Eileen, I believe you have it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Under public comment? We welcome your comments.
Could you go back and explain your 3 people per comment?
Per item.
You're limiting to an agenda item.
No, not an agenda item. During public comment, if there's more than one person to speak, this is only pertaining to public comment.
Okay.
No, I am not limiting comment during an agenda item.
Okay, so you're only allowing 3 speakers.
If there is
during
one
public-
item that there is a number of people here, 3 speakers.
Okay, I get it. Thank you. I had never heard that before. I do have a handout, but since you don't read them anyway, I'm going to give them to you. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to give it to you, copies of it. This is dated July 16th. This is from Can We Help Executive Committee. Dear Supervisor Hanson, on June 11th, 2013, Can We Help presented you with a complaint that you allowed the county clerk to not comply with the election codes 11224, 11225, and 11227. County Clerk Julie Bustamante deliberately waited to finish the court-ordered certification of the signatures of the Jack Hansen recall petition, thinking that she could get away with delaying the certificate of sufficiency for an additional 2 weeks, thus delaying setting an election date. Ms. Bustamante abused her office and claimed that the agenda had already been posted on May 23rd, that was a Thursday, and that she could not add anything to the May 28th agenda. Ms. Bustamante knew public agendas must be posted 72 hours prior to the public meeting. This means the agenda can be posted as late as 9 p.m. the Friday before the meeting. On Friday, May 24th, Ms. Bustamante deliberately did not add a certificate of sufficiency to the May 28th, 2013 meeting. On Friday, July 5th, at 1:41, Ms. Bustamante sent out a correction to the July 9th agenda. The Brown Act states that a public meeting agenda must be posted 72 hours prior to a public meeting. In this instance, Ms. Bustamante did comply with the Brown Act. Her Friday correction did appear on the April 9th agenda, so she proved that when she needed to, and there wasn't a prejudice there, she could comply with the law. The law states Ms. Bustamante is required only to submit her report. The certificate of sufficiency could have been added in at least 4 places on the Board of Supervisors' May 28, 2013 agenda. Ms. Bustamante, County Council, all 5 supervisors, and Mr. Nichols contributed to not complying with election codes. How can the public trust any of you? And these are your copies.
Thank you. I have a request for Mr. Tim Holliburg to address the board under public comment. Good morning, Tim. Good to see you, sir.
Good morning. Point of information, gentlemen and ladies. It's our office policy to attend county board meetings when appropriate if a federal issue would arise, if our time allows. And if not, I try to attend 3 or 4 a month. I handle 4 counties for Congressman Lamont, but I happened to be here last week for normal attendance at the meeting. And I heard Mrs. Debbie Valenta make a statement that she had spoken to our office and had been given a factual answer that we had informed her that the zoning issue was out of line. I can assure you, gentlemen, we would not interfere in a county issue of this type. So I polled our staff to make sure somebody had not made a mistake and spoken to this lady. And we questioned every member of our staff, our office in Reading, our office in Orville, my office, and our office in DC, and I can assure you that no one in our staff spoke to this lady, nor did we give her advice. And we also found that she's not a registered voter, and we questioned if she's even a resident of the district. But I'll share with your clerk my correspondence, and thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mr. Holliburg. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to address the board under the public comment portion of our agenda? Happy to take your comments at this time. Okay, seeing none, we do have a 10 o'clock public hearing, and prior to that, we'll go ahead and take up some other matters. We'll do unagendized reports by board members. Supervisor Chapman, would you like to start off, please?
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Alba.
The only thing I have is we got the fair coming up is this week, and so I hope everybody attends to see what the youth has been doing for all their fair animals and hard work for you. Hope to see everybody there. So the fair board and the fair manager have done a real hard job to make it successful. That's all I have.
Thank you. Supervisor Pyle.
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Wazik.
I have a lot of info. I'll elaborate a little bit then. Last night, attended the coordination council meeting. It was, the meeting last night, it went, although we didn't have a quorum, we couldn't do any action items. It was really, I don't know, it just came to the realization of how great this has all, turned out over the last couple of years. And I was thinking, well, Ken Colum was there, as well as Forest Service representatives, some members from the public that were there at the last meeting that had an issue with the roads and the ML3 and ML2. And, I was thinking, in the early days, when we talked about invoking coordination, it was almost like, it could be taken that it's a tool where you go and you mainly argue. You go to these meetings every twice a year, and all the other counties are there that have invoked coordination status, and pretty much, they hammer the Forest Service, but what it's actually evolved into, it's just been such a great means of communication. It's really provided a platform to have some meaningful discussion, with our local Forest Service and BLM. I mean, like I said, the last meeting, Jerry Bird was there, and he was there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, Ken Colum. And people are coming in with, now with real problems, and being able to explain to the people in charge what it is, and things are getting changed. They'll be looking at, the roads. Bob, you were at the last meeting, and we, some of those issues. I believe we're gonna have a special meeting before the next regular meeting, and they're really looking at redesignating and changing all the ML3 roads in the county, and the last to mixed use. But my point is, things are happening, and I know before the agencies or the Forest Service and BLM would come in and give a presentation or an update, a couple of times a year, but I mean, it's not the same at these coordination, at our council meetings, that you have an opportunity to sit and discuss the matter for, a great length of time, and gauge progress at the next meeting. And it's just, I'm very pleased, and I'm happy that, I was able to get involved and play some small role in what's going on. And I think, if nothing else, it's one of the things I'm most pleased with that I've been involved with, and seeing how it's going. And I think it's only going to get better. So it was a very good meeting, and ironically, we couldn't, like I said, take any action, but that aside, it was still a wonderful meeting. So that's all I have. And,
I was gonna ask you to do the introductions. Thank you.
I have babysitting duty today, so I have 2 of my 4 children in the audience, Levi and my other son, Graham. Can you say hi, Graham? Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks.
I have nothing to report. We'll go ahead and move on then to item F1, Blaston County Fish and Game Commission. We have a vacancy there, and an application for
Mr.
appointment.
Chairman, this is a vacancy in my district, and actually I have 2 vacancies. I have a regular position and an alternate position, and the agenda indicates the appointment for the alternate position. I have talked with Mr. Workman. This would be a great asset to the commission, and I indicated to him that I was going to appoint him to the regular seat, not the alternate seat. I mean, as the alternate, he'd automatically fill in the absence of the regular seat. So Leonard Griswold had resigned that seat because of his duties at the Elks Lodge to keep him from being able to attend the meetings. And at some point in the future, he hopefully will be able to rejoin the commission. And in the meantime, I think Mr. Workman will do that. A fine job, and I do need to be appointed to the commission.
It's moved by Supervisor Chapman and seconded by Supervisor Pyle that we appoint Wade Workman to the Fish and Game Commission, District 2 seat. Is there any further discussion? Any discussion by audience members? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Any opposition? Thank you, Jim. Good appointment. We move on and take up information and consent. And I have one request from Ms. Eileen Spencer, who would like to pull G1, and I will recognize that request. So we're entertaining a motion on the consent agenda with the exception of G1, which will be pulled for separate consideration. Chair would entertain a motion. Moved by Supervisor Piles, seconded by Supervisor Bosick to approve the remainder of the consent agenda. We'll go ahead, I'm sorry. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Is there any opposition? Carries unanimously. Hearing none. We're going to move on and take up item G1. Ms. Spencer, please.
Again, this is just a one-page letter, so I'm just gonna read it. It's easier. It's less emotional when I read things than I do speaking. This is dated July 16th, from Can We Help Executive Committee, and the reason, intentional misrepresentation of public comment. Dear Chairperson Hanson,
You know, I'm going to excuse myself for this. I'll do that. Supervisor Pyle, you take it. Go ahead.
Dear Chairperson Hanson, your recently released June 18th meeting minutes have intentionally misrepresented my statement. The 6/18/2013 minutes state, Eileen Spencer states concern with the way the county clerk presented the certificate of sufficiency to the board at the May 28th meeting. Feels it could have been done in this section of the agenda. The board is attempting to place an intentional falsehood into the permanent record that the county clerk presented the Jack Hansen recall petition's certificate of sufficiency to the board at the May 28th meeting. Please correct the date in the June 18th board minutes. The correct date should be June 11th, 2013. In addition, the minutes should always reflect documents were submitted to the board. These documents become disclosable documents.
Any more comment?
I have one. I just noticed, under unagendized board reports, under my unagendized, it says, that on point 2, it lists September 25th, it was, supposed to be.
I don't know what we're talking, I don't know what we're talking about. From the Spencer's document, or?
No, we're on the, it's June 18th.
Oh, okay, I hadn't gotten it yet, I was back on the other.
Any more?
It's this right here. Just supposed to, I mentioned I couldn't hear June 25th, it's supposed to.
Oh, okay, I will fix that, thank you. I'll make that correction, I'll make the correction on the minutes.
What didn't?
There's a correction I need to make on the minutes, but if you could approve them with that correction.
Was both corrections?
I have to look into your correction, I'm confused as to what you were saying.
Well, you said that you indicated that I was talking about her presentation at May 28th meeting, and it wasn't the May 28th meeting. It was the June 11th meeting.
Check on that.
Is that correction okay for order?
Yes, I think it's an appropriate correction.
I'm make a motion to approve with the corrections.
Do you have a second? Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Jack in the back.
Mr. Chairman, when will the corrected minutes be available?
When will they be available?
The corrected ones?
When the clerk makes them available, I guess.
Thank you.
Okay, Jack. There, Jack.
Well, we're so close to 10 o'clock. If I take my time sitting down, we're going to be here.
If you want to,
You could get page one of the sheriff would.
Pardon? Pardon me?
If you couldn't get to H1, the sheriff would have.
H1 and 2, we've got a couple for the sheriff. We're at 10 o'clock, so we're trying to stay on.
It's okay with staff,
Pardon me?
we're working on a graphic, so it's okay with staff if you want to entertain.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take up H1. Morning, Dean.
Good morning.
Dean Groton, Sheriff. Actually, item H1, we wanted to pull that. We're in contact with Shasta County, they
Okay.
wanted to, so we won't visit that one. H2,
We're right on to H2, thank you.
we, this past year, we're asking for an early adoption of a couple budget lines. One is motor pool budget. We placed a vehicle purchase last fiscal year, and not all the cars were delivered within that fiscal year. So I'm requesting that you adopt that motor pool budget amount of $837,430 for capital purchases. And then the second item, with some of the CCP funds, the realignment funds allocated from the state, I came to the board, got approval to purchase body armor for probation personnel and sheriff's personnel that work in the jail. It's a long process, fulfilling those orders also, they have to be measured and so on. We weren't able to take possession of those items before the end of the fiscal year, so I'm asking you to adopt that portion of that budget in the amount of $25,000 so we can move forward with those purchases at body armor.
I would move, Mr. Chairman, that the board adopt the partial budget units 1350352300620 and 1381551300280 as requested by the sheriff.
Been moved by Supervisor Chapman and seconded by Supervisor Pyle to adopt the two budgets. Under discussion, Supervisor Outlaw.
I have one question, just out of curiosity, Dean. You have 6 body armor female ballistic, is that for women?
Yeah, what it is we're buying them off state purchasing contracts, and all of the probation people we happen to be buying for are female, and that actually happens to be a specific contract on its own, is a female-specific body armor contract.
I'm just curious.
Yes, we have.
That's what I thought it was, I just was curious.
It is.
And this was actually discussed and approved several weeks ago.
Yeah, they were the May. Any other questions or comments by board members? Any questions by the audience on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Carries unanimously. Thank you very much, sir.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. Okay, we're going to go ahead then and move on to item C1, which is our public hearing. Health and Social Services Administration Ordinance Number 2. Oh, we had it corrected.
Yes.
The agenda's right?
2013-003.
2013-003. The agenda is correct, but on our staff report, the ordinance number wasn't correct, and that has been corrected. Good morning, Melanie. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. Yes, it was quite a process and a learning experience for me. Health and Social Services doesn't pass a lot of ordinances, and this is definitely my first time. The ordinance was the easy part, getting it here was the task. The ordinance this morning, number 2013-003, will authorize Lassen County to join the Partnership Health Plan of California Commission. So in 2011, the Department of Healthcare Services directed the remaining 28 counties in California that didn't already operate Medi-Cal managed care plans to get one before the implementation of the Affordable Care Act in January 2014. In June 2012, following a presentation by Dave Jones from Mountain Valley Health Clinics and Janet Lasik from Northeastern, you adopted a resolution in support of becoming a county organized health system, meaning as a county we would take responsibility for our own health system, and directing staff to work with Partnership Health to move forward in making the transition for managed care for Medi-Cal recipients. Late in February, I mean it took the state a long time to make this decision, the state approved our plan to join Partnership Health Plan of California. Now, one One of the reasons we might want to do this, as a county, we're pretty small. We don't really have the infrastructure to develop and operate our own county organized health system. Makes a whole lot of sense to join a partnership like Partnership Health Plan of California. Similar to Trindle or CMSP, it's an organization that was formed, it's nonprofit. Their whole job is representing their member counties and being the third-party administrator for managed care for Medi-Cal recipients. It's a great idea. We get to participate with them. We are entitled to one seat on that commission, and I'm happy to say that we've had someone actually volunteer to be our representative. That's Bob Edwards from the hospital. And we'll talk about that in next week's meeting. But it means we actually get to be part of that commission that's directing what we're going to do for our managed care recipients, as opposed to what a lot of the other small counties got, which was the state just decided that they would have Anthem Blue Cross, and that's what they get. Anthem Blue Cross is a huge for-profit organization. You don't really have any representation on the board. They make a lot of decisions about your recipients, and that's it. You're kind of stuck with it. So we're very happy that you have chosen to become a county organized health system and join the partnership. The partnership health rates are capitated, but they're fair. The reimbursement for providers is generally better than what Medi-Cal currently pays. They do have performance standards, and there are incentives for providers that do well. So the better our performance, the more money can come back to our providers and grow our organizations. The savings that the organization achieves, just as Trindle achieves savings, do not come back to the county, but they are poured back into the programs for our clients. They work to improve outcomes for patients. Their programs are supported by a lot of historical and current data. And again, like CMSP, they offer you an opportunity to propose innovative ideas and help get some funding and some support for those things. One of the exciting things for us as a county organization is that PHC, or Partnership Health, will also facilitate the intergovernmental transfer of funds. There's a lot of money that California leaves on the table because they won't match it to draw down federal funds. We can put up county funds and draw down those federal funds. Partnership Health facilitates that process. So we don't know, we wouldn't like to predict where that's going to take us as a small county, and especially with more clients being moved into Medi-Cal and in the first couple of years not being a non-federal share. But recently, both Solano and Sonoma County got